You still need to announce it. You still need to announce it. It's a lot of people listening.
Good evening, everyone. This is your favorite storm. If you aren't, if you're just listening to us, you won't have seen what we posted in chat. That Keith's running an errand. He's going to be a little bit late, but he will be coming on. We've got probably about 10 minutes, and he'll be joining us. But we got a little music to keep you company until he get back, and then when we come in, we'll start with our standard Sunday night show. So y'all listen up, and we will be with Keith here in just a little bit. Talk to you soon. Everybody, just as a reminder, Keith's finishing up an errand and he'll be with us shortly. We're going to keep going and just have everything ready for when he steps in. I'm watching for him real well, and we'll get on the air when he gets here. See you shortly. And here he is, the man of the hour. You're
How we
live and
doing?
on there. We're doing good. You're live and ready to rock, sir.
Great. Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 1st. No, it is not April 1st. It is March 31st, 2024, at approximately 4:43 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. With this in mind, now I do apologize for being a little late. Necessary family-focused errand, and as I've always told people, family comes first. Now, I know some of you may not see it that way, but that's your issue, not mine. Now, just to take a look at this, what do we got going on here? Just so I can catch myself up to speed, which would be a nice change. It's kind of weird, but a lot of the time I end up getting myself caught up to speed and I'm behind the 8-ball again. But with that in mind, okay, first and foremost, at the top of the stream here, well, where are we? There we go. At the top of the stream, you will find a link to buy me a coffee. Any books we talk about on here, any books that I bring to light here, I've got in stock. Okay, and they can be ordered straight through the link at the top, as well as getting a hold of me for consulting purposes and the free newsletter. Okay, the free newsletter called Positive Perspectives. Now, before we go any further, we will take a scan back up here. We have LA Moon in the house with the gold. Nathan from the Quantum Show. First and foremost, before I get ahead of myself, LA, I do hope things are going well for you. Apparently not that well for me, but I do hope things are going reasonably well on your end. We have Nathan in here with the silver. And again, this is the link to Nathan's live stream. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he's got to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. It is literally through this kind of communication that we are going to manage to turn things around. That we can alter the path that this road is traveling. Okay. And see, now here's the thing. I was used to doing something, which is great. I noticed that LA has already got Nathan's link up above. Thank you so much for that, LA. This is why I've got these people in the position of the moderators. Okay. Now, what do we got here? Now we go down. We have Storm is in with the bronze. Storm, thank you so much for dealing with things. Yeah. Now I'm not sure what Kevorkian time is, but I do know who Kevorkian is. Oh, I'm looking at that, Nathan, and I saw a thing on Facebook. Somebody with a cat. I guess they must have been having a lot of trouble with people stealing their Amazon boxes, because they started putting the kitty litter in an Amazon box, and every time the cat was finished with it, they'd seal the box and put it on the front doorstep. My guess is somebody's going to be very unhappy if they steal that box. Now we scroll down a little further, and that's where we're sitting. So, again, we are looking at, now this week, we are looking at communication. In case you hadn't noticed, communication and me don't always get along, but we're looking at society. Yes, they will, LA. It's funny. I look at Inner Voice Enterprises, and yes, I'm talking about building an empire. Okay. 4 years ago, and ever since 2007, I've been a one-man show. 2 years ago, 2 years? Yeah, 2 years ago, I ended up with an extra person working with me. Now I've got 4. I am still looking at expanding. Okay, but I've got to be careful because, well, I kind of overextended myself again. Shocking shock of shocks. But are we going to have trouble with the video today? If I don't watch my energy levels, we may well. But I am looking at now, we talked yesterday about changing your life. Now, what happens when you get enough people changing the way they're doing, that they're running their life in a positive fashion? I'll tell you what happens. I'm not even going to leave that one for you to sort through. The reality of it is this. You get enough people to say, hey, I'm not doing that anymore. Now, yes, you may have to postpone certain things. For instance, if all of a sudden everybody, and the odds of this happening non-existent to speak of, but if all of a sudden people take a look at the gas prices and go, I'm not driving anymore, gas sales will collapse, and they'll either bring the prices down or they'll lose their profit anyway. Okay, from what I gathered, like my son just informed me today when I picked him up, because I said, I got to go out tomorrow and get gas. And he goes, no, Dad, stop and get gas now, because they're about to add 30% to the carbon tax. So I had to stop and grab gas. I don't drive very often, but I've now got a full tank. And the reality is, I may well, with the winter gone, I may well drive even less than I used to. Okay. So now what it boils down to is making certain that I take everything and put it in place. Now, you'll notice, you probably won't, if I get out of the way here, you'll notice I got all the files out on the bed again. This is just what happens for me. But that's because I'm going through positive perspectives. Matter of fact, where did it go? This one right here. Now, thing is, I've got this tiny little office I'm working with. I'm quite happy with that, by the way. Okay. Everything is essentially done, most of it is done manually. But here I am, a very small individual to speak of. So what I've done, we've talked about adding color to positive perspectives. Well, and of course, I've gone to straight digital. I keep the hard copy for me. But you'll notice it's got color now. I am targeting creating a newsletter without a newsletter magazine, without any of this stuff of who shot who murdered who. Not interested. Well, I'm interested in whether or not I lose somebody I like. Okay. And Timothy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. When we start working together and we start interacting with each other. Okay. I know I just heard about a young lad that's already got a printing company for and that's got is doing their own t-shirts. Okay. I'm going to have to get in touch with them because there are some t-shirts that I do want to add to my merchandise line, but do understand something. I finally decided that sometimes the saying on t-shirts are actually really good, and they are conversation starters a lot of the time. But it's very much, like the magazine itself. I go, and I've talked to you guys about it, about is this even worth putting the effort into? Because I've noticed that the number of people that were listing a lot more readily when we were talking about distractions, as in what's going on off world. Okay. Now, gonna grab two things here. One, I didn't get time to grab my coffee, and the little monkey went and drank it again. Give me half a minute here. I'll pop that up there. Okay. Now, I'm looking at taking this magazine, taking Positive Perspectives and turning it into something a whole lot bigger, a whole lot more complicated. But with that one proviso, I am not planning, period, on ever including bad news. Okay. I may end up at some point doing a tribute to somebody that's passed away, but the odds are I'm going to pass away before that happens. I do appreciate that, LA. It's a work in progress, but when we take a look at it, we talked about color pictures. Well, we've got color pictures in it. Okay, now this year, here's the thing. This year, in April, if you take a look at it, we've got this. This is just two pictures of the same guy. Now, people talk about copyright and all this, copyright and marketing and everything else. Here's the thing. Okay, I don't have to worry about copyright with that because I've got the figure. It's not actually sitting right beside me, but that's one that I painted. Now, yes, I absolutely am taking taking a lot of the ideas, a lot of the pictures anyway, from various different creatures in Dungeons and Dragons. I've been playing it since 1976. It's how I got my inspiration to do the novel writing in the first place. Next week, and some of you guys will recognize this. If you're a gamer, you're absolutely going to recognize this little chap. Okay. This is another one of these neat little critters. Okay. And he will be spotlighted next month, like for May. I've already started working on it. Okay. What you got to, well, as you can tell, I've already got him painted. I just need to freshen him up a bit. But this is one of those things I'm looking at because I finally, 4 years after getting the phone, I finally figured out how to transfer the pictures from the phone to the computer. Okay. So when we're looking at the impact you can have, what I'm looking at is a magazine that hopefully will inspire some of you. Hopefully, some of the people that are running the big magazines, the big email digital newsletters, the e-letters, that's the magazines. There we go. Hopefully, this will inspire them to put a little bit more of the positive side of things and a little less of the negative. At the very least, I'm hoping it encourages people, when you're reading something negative, go out and read 2 things that are positive. Okay? If you watch, listen to, are confronted with negative things, okay, absolutely. I mean, bad things happen. Okay, I've even got a bad news section in this. Okay, but the bad news section boils down to this. We acknowledge bad things happen. But, it's called positive perspective. So here's the bad news. If you're looking for bad news to be reported by me or by the people willing and desiring to contribute, okay, you're going to have to find a different newsletter. I'm not about to start going, oh, the government's hiking prices, the government's denying us these benefits, or the government is doing whatever. It's not that I don't care. It's that there's a lot of magazines out there, newsletters, news services, radio stations, all of them regurgitating the same thing. Depression, 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 and massive disappointment. There's all kinds of places to go get it. I don't have to provide it for you. Okay. I will absolutely pass on good information, good news. And the important factor from that end is, again, I don't charge for this, so rest assured, if you're interested in contributing, to be blunt, I don't pay for it. Okay. I do give credit for it, but that's where it ends. Now, that said, I am in the middle of putting together, right now, we've got Positive Perspectives up and running, the newsletter, which will be coming time, called a magazine, as soon as I get the front cover redesigned. And I've already got somebody working on that. It's just, they decided that getting sick for a week was a really good idea. Okay. And so what's happened is I'll be talking to them on Tuesday and see where we're standing. Because it's time to get things moving in the right direction. It's time to make things grow. Now, I got looking at it, and, the number of subscriptions, I look at that going, yeah, I could get carried away with that. And I really started paying too much attention to it in my eyes. By changing the way that you're living your life, you will change the way you're affecting other people. This is just a normal thing. Okay. Now, I will tell you, which do you feel better? If you deal with a customer, if you deal with a cashier, a teller, an attendant, whatever, which would you rather? Would you rather they come up to you and smile at you and talk to you in a decent fashion, in an enjoyable, friendly manner? Plus, of course, the important thing there is, do you prefer them calling you by name if they know it? Or would you rather be called, hey, you, or sir, or you there? Okay. Is that more your style, or do you prefer hearing them using your own name? Now, I will tell you, marketing research has determined, and I didn't do this, by the way, but I know how I feel with it. It has determined that one of the most powerful words in negotiations, in communication, is the individual's name. This being said, I used to have a massive problem with remembering people's names, or more to the point, recalling them. Okay. Until I started telling myself, my memory for names is getting better. Give it a shot. Okay. So if you enjoy being treated decently, treat the people you meet, whether they are a stranger, a server, a cashier, an attendant, it doesn't matter. Whatever they're doing for a living is irrelevant. Okay. Treat them decently. Treat them in the way you desire to be treated. Okay. It doesn't guarantee you'll get treated well, but it certainly does stack the deck in your favor. Now I could go into all kinds of issues about the negative things I've seen on Facebook. Because yes, I do scan it, but what I found today was just remarkable. This young lady she was bent down trying to, no, we will scratch that. She was in a grocery store. Okay. And tell me if you've ever seen something like this in person. I have. As a matter of fact, I've done it. But this woman was in a grocery store with her child. The child was standing in front of the sweets. And much as I couldn't hear what was being said and there was no captions, you could tell by the look on the people's faces what went on. Okay. So the mother's looking at her money and counting it out. And the daughter picks up this sweet little whatever it was. I don't know if it was a tart or what have you. But it was something, it was just a sweet pastry. And the kid held it up to her mom and started jumping up and down, clearly going, please, please, please. The mother looks the mother looks in her pocket and finds out she doesn't have the money. So she's looking at the child and she's got her hand on her heart. She goes, I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't afford, we can't afford it. Well, there's a gentleman just behind her at the produce section that clearly overhears this. Okay. He comes over to the woman, politely interrupts her, and putting his hand on his back, asks if she would be kind enough to bend down and tie his shoe up for him. Okay, now this was not an older man. This guy would have been probably in his mid-30s, early 40s. Okay. So she says, yeah, no problem. Excuses herself from her daughter, bends down, ties the guy's shoelaces. While she's tying his shoelaces, he slips a few dollars into her pocket. Into her coat pocket. Thanks her for tying his shoelaces up, right? And goes on his own way. The daughter is still up and down begging for this sweet. And mom says, look, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And she puts her hand in her pocket, pulls the money out of her pocket and looks at it and going like, where did this come from? Right? And happily they go off and get what was necessary. This is the kind of behavior I would love to hear about. This is the kind of thing that makes me happy. It's also the kind of thing that I do this because of. Okay. A few years ago, I had a little extra money. And I did at Christmas. I went around helping people. And it was just a question of, I had a little bit. But sometimes that $5 is all the difference it takes. All the effort it takes to make a difference. Smile. Give somebody a hand. When you're communicating with the world around you. Okay. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you've seen another customer turning around and trying to do something, trying to reach something, but because of being vertically challenged, they couldn't? Okay. Now, I've witnessed this many times, but it doesn't take any length of time to stop for a moment and get something down for somebody that can't reach it, or bend down to pick something up. Okay. And it's the same. I mean, I'm on a cane, and there are times when I drop my cane, and I've had people, even though I can bend down, it's a pain in the neck. Look. Oh, what do we got here? I cannot quite read that. So I wonder what happens if I do that. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, LA's going, that clears big dividends in the karma department. It really does. Now, fortunately, I look at it going, I'm going to be here for lifetimes yet. So, yes, karma matters. But I find it's that instant feeling of, yay, I made somebody feel better. Now, of course, for those of you that are empathic, okay, that makes all the difference in the world. Okay, one of the biggest things that we have to look at in this world is how we are treating each other. Are we doing things in a way that works? Now, the ironic part of it, of this whole 9 yards, is that when we take a look at this, at the reality of life, we can focus on the negative. We can do exactly what the bigwigs are telling us. Okay, every man for themselves. You got to get the best of the best right now. It's absolutely imperative. You can look at it that way. But here's the drawback. What if you can't afford the best of the best right now? Now I'm going to show you something here. Whoop, let's not pull my coffee on the floor. That will not make me a happy camper. Probably won't make you guys a happy camper. I gotta grab something from over here. When I first started working on this newsletter, okay, that's what the front cover of the first one looked like. Okay, now, started working on that. That was the first one back in July. Okay, this is what we've got now. Okay, and it will continue to evolve. But when we're looking at the way that this world is working, no, definitely not. It's going, you don't do this for karma. The moment you do something for a payback, it's no longer a gift. Okay, it no longer holds the same energy. Now, for me, I was gonna say I pride myself, and I don't think I do, but I do have a tendency of going, if I am focused on something, okay, if I say this is what I'm aiming at doing, that's what I'm aiming at. Okay, and I encourage you to do the same thing. This is why I'm looking at a few things. I'm going back through the newsletters to see what I can add to it, because I don't have a size restriction at this point. I've gone to straight digital. And yes, that means from an economic standpoint, it costs less. This is a good thing. Fortunately, in today's world, there aren't too many people that don't have an email. Okay. And honestly, the ones that don't have an email also don't know I'm here. Okay. Most of the ones that have an email don't know I'm here. But when I look at it, I'm going, okay, I'm going to build an empire. Now I could go back to Amazon and go, oh, I gotta talk to them and see if I can get in with them. Okay, and I could do it that way. It's a lot easier. Okay, I have been crippled by another major company, so I could go to Amazon. I could go to eBay and any of those. I'm turning to you guys. Okay, that's just the way it is. It will take longer for me to generate a return on it. Absolutely, it'll take longer. But I'm aiming at helping as many of you as I can get away with. Okay, the big box companies don't require my help. They really don't require my money. The government doesn't require more of it than they already get. And quite frankly, I'm a firm believer that if I can get things done with the work of other people, maybe not as gifted in those fields as the big boxes are. You take a look at it, and the big boxes, you get turned into a number. That's all it becomes, which is a terrible thing in my eyes. What is this? Taking a look at what I've done. Oh, is he in the house? I don't think so yet. Nope, so I will wait for him. I don't think, did anybody see Joe Stewart come into the house? Because I'm scanning through here and I don't see him just yet. Normally he's here. But I'm looking at this going, okay, how do I get involved with as many smaller companies as I can get away with? Okay, how am I going to go about doing that? And the answer is this. I'm not going to look to them. I'm turning to people like you. If you happen to have a small business, okay, that you're trying to get off the ground, yes, I know with small businesses, sometimes it costs a little more to get the help. Okay, but what you pay for in money, you end up getting back in service. Okay, and this is something that to me is extremely important. When I go to any restaurant, to any business at all, first thing I do, because I like being called by name. I mean, Lord knows I've been called enough names over the years. Some of them are actually repeatable in polite company. But I figure I like being addressed by name in a polite and respectful fashion. The logical solution from my end is absolutely do the same thing, and that's going to cause a problem. Got to remember to keep myself back away from the computer on occasion. Now, what I'm looking at here, like we're looking at the communication side, and the more people communicate, the more you let the companies you're working with know what you're aiming for, what will make you content. I was talking to a restaurant owner the other day, and I told her flat out, I says, in my opinion, and I says, bear in mind, I've been working in the hospitality industry for 24 years. Okay. And I said, what I will tell you from what I've seen, and it applies to me, if you've got your staff on a regular schedule, they'll be happier because they can plan their life, they can plan time for themselves. Your customers will be happier because many times a customer will come in to be served by a given waiter or a given waitress. Okay. And as a side effect, you'll be happier because the happier customer will, number one, continue treating the place properly. Number two, they've got a better rapport and a better understanding of the servers, the cooking staff, whatever you want to classify it as. And net result, they end up quite literally, they will tip better, thereby supporting your staff a little bit more. But do understand, if you're one of these people that runs a restaurant, do not base your staff's wages on what their tips may be. You never do that. Okay, and yeah, I know that sounds weird. It's like, why are you talking to me about whether or not I should pay my staff? The reason I'm telling you is because if you're a restaurant owner and you're getting your staff to rely on their tips to make ends meet, you're not getting the best service. Okay, as a matter of fact, you're building resentment. And I've seen this almost kill companies. But the more you communicate, the more you are direct and clear in a respectful fashion with the people you're dealing with, the better your interaction is going to be. And the smoother this world is going to run. Now, I don't know about you, but I know from my standpoint, I prefer peace, quiet, and harmony. Okay, now I know peace. I don't know anybody named Quiet, although I did meet a Harmony one day. So I'm looking at this. There's a number of things I've added to this into positive perspectives, not the least of which is the little added sayings. I'm looking for those ones. Just those little saying things like, okay, like a friend of mine coined a phrase for me, to know oneself is to know all. Okay, another one that is there that is very, very pertinent in my eyes is people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Okay, now, if you're in the chat room, whether you're listening in, whether you're actually actively in the chat room, doesn't matter. Okay, what I would love to hear is what you guys would like to see change in your world. Let's get started changing it, because we change a whole bunch of individuals' lives. They in turn will change the lives of the people around them. Okay, point in fact, if you are having a bad day and somebody comes out and grumps at you or tears a strip off you for whatever reason, okay, are you inclined to be polite to the next person you run into? Or are you likely to still be running under that hurt feelings? Okay, the reverse is also true, by the way. If you're having a bad day and somebody comes along and says something of a positive nature to you, helps you feel a little more upbeat, the odds are the next person you run into, you're going to deal with in a positive fashion as well. This is just the reality behind it. Now, before I go any further, I will let you know, yes, tomorrow is Easter Monday. At least up here it is. I don't know what it's down in your guys' end of the world, down in the States, or for that matter, anywhere else in the rest of the world. What I do know is I will be here tomorrow. Okay. We will be here looking at the way communication amongst the off-worlders and the ancient races is impacting. Thank you very much there, Ewan. And I don't think I've seen you here before, Ewan. So thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate your sharing your time with us. The thing I'm looking at here is this. I'm fully empathic. Now, there are people that have told me literally because they found out I was that way. Oh, that's okay. Ewan's in from the UK. Yeah, it is April Fool's today. That's okay. I like Easter. Well, in all fairness, for me, it's a bit of a twist. But yeah, I guess today is April Fool's Day. Now, I look at that, and there's so many people that prank other people on April Fool's. I have never enjoyed pranks. Okay? But if you go back to the Middle Ages, at least from my memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, from my memory, the little people or the small people or whatever you want to call them that were at the court, they were called the court jesters. These were the fools that came in to make people laugh. And if that's what your intention is to make people laugh, I'm absolutely 100% behind you. Okay? If the idea of a prank is to hurt somebody's feelings or to make them feel less of a person, okay, then I'm looking at it going, if it's not going to make the person feel better, don't do it. Okay, now I saw another video, another short on YouTube today, right? And it was absolutely priceless. Okay, it showed this little cat, and she ran off to the cupboard, grabbed a hat, and brought it back to her owner, and dropped this hat in the guy's lap. Turned out, a number of years ago, when the cat was just a tiny kitten, this guy bought her a lion mane hoodie for his cat. Okay, put it on the cat for Halloween one year. And ever since then, every time Halloween rolls around, this cat goes running off to the other room, to find out where that hat is. She'll track it down, grab the hat, bring it back out to the owner, and drop it in his lap so he'll put it on her. Okay, cats, animals are simply, in my opinion, fuzzy, furry, scaled, feathered kids with 2 or 4 legs. And sometimes not that many. Just a real quick note there, Ewan. if you haven't been here before, like if you haven't checked through it, if you've got a question, it doesn't matter if it's on the topic we're talking about. Come right out and ask it. Put the question in all caps, partial caps, or at least a wavy hand to get my attention. Okay, because I've been known to bounce around a fair chunk on different topics. Yes, I get a little scattered. Whoop, I'm going to lose my phone. And I cannot do that. Well, I could. I just don't feel like it. Now, when I take a look at this world, it took me forever because I was looking at the people in this world going, how can you treat each other so poorly? Right? And then I got into a discussion just the other day with my other half. And, I've always held, I'm not going to get mad at people for it because unfortunately that's what they've been trained. Okay? Everybody learns things by being taught by other people or by firsthand experience. Now, I came to the conclusion that I desire to leave a positive impact behind me. As it is, I already make everybody happy. Some people I make happy by showing up. Most I make happy by leaving. Okay, so what I'm encouraging you to do is focus on making the people around you smile. Okay, if you're going to play the part of a fool, do so without insulting other people. Do so by bringing a lighthearted approach to life. Okay, there are ways of doing this, in spite of all the chaos that's going on around us, or perhaps because of it. It is absolutely imperative that we focus on striving to make other people happy. Okay, I will tell you, especially if you're an empath, you'll understand this anyway. You make the people around you feel better. You're going to feel better as a side effect. Oh. Keep this fan here to keep my temperature down. Now I will put it to you this way. Right now, let me just grab this to make sure I've got it right. Right now, we are looking, if you were looking at an all-encompassing healing center, okay, now we're starting out with a wide open arc. Eventually, I will be getting a building, and money provided, I will eventually take a building and occupy it. Okay, and I will make a healing center that people come to. But I am looking at healing on all fronts. Okay, now one of the things I'm going to be doing here over the next number of months is laying out literally what I'm doing. Well, now I know there's an explanation for that.
Yeah, that was me doing stuff in there.
Oh, that was you doing stuff in there. Okay, I appreciate that. Because I'm looking at this going, I don't remember writing anything. Yeah.
Yep, just me trying to put the rules of the road in.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
And that is our ever wonderfully watchful eye, Storm, keeping an eye in the background to make sure we don't have complications. Okay, because I will tell you, we've had complications on a number of fronts. And then the one thing about this stream that I absolutely am focused on is making certain it remains safe for everybody. Okay, like for everybody that is treating people well. The people who come in looking for a problem, I'm sure they're going to find one. Okay, I mean, I watched a newscast. It was priceless. It was a simple traffic report done in San Diego. Okay, was filmed in San Diego, California. That hurt. And the cameraman is filming this and filming the reporter. And all of a sudden, the cameraman's got the camera facing the reporter, and all of a sudden, he camps it over here. Right? And the reporter and he focuses on this white van. And the reporter turns around, and she says, "Put the camera back on me." Cameraman loud as, clears the bell. No. So the reporter turns around and looks. Well, in the background, in the middle of the intersection, there's a white panel van, kind of like a VW van. Okay, has pulled to a stop, and a guy with a mask and a gun comes out. AT, how we doing? Glad you could join us. So this guy with a hoodie on, like with a mask on, what I know as a balaclava, full face mask, comes out, grabs hold of the passenger door, yanks it open, and sticks a gun into the cab. And the neat little part about it, was all of a sudden the guy's feet left the ground. He all of a sudden disappears inside the white panel. And the white panel van is rocking like this, back and forth, right? And the cameraman is focused on it, and the reporter's watching this happen. And sure enough, soon, pretty soon, the cops show up. And now, of course, the cameraman's got the boom mic over where he can do things properly. And the boom mic's in place, and the cop bangs on the back door. It's like, "Excuse me, but can we have the would-be carjacker back, please?" Well, the back panel opens up, and they pour this poor pulp onto the gurney, onto the ambulance gurney. So, of course, the ambulance takes off. A couple of things are said. Now everything's clear, and the reporter goes over to the driver and says, "Excuse me, can you tell my viewers what has just gone down?" Right? And she goes on, the driver says, "I'll do one better than that." Hops out of the car, out of the van, comes around to the camera side of the van, opens up the side panel. And this will give you an idea how quick karma can come back and bite you. This guy had tried robbing the car and hijacking the car. When she opened up the side panel, the entire Californian Olympic black belt karate team stepped out of the van in full combat regalia. Okay, now I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, now there's justice for you. I'm pretty certain the guy's never going to go anywhere near a panel van again. Okay, but he tried doing something of a very negative nature, and it came back to bite him right away. Keep that in mind. When you're doing things, do things with the right intention. Okay, right intention will, in all likelihood, bring a much better response than the wrong one. But it's something like that where, yes, it was negative news if you look at it from the carjacker standpoint. Okay, it's like the other one I witnessed. I actually saw this one. This little old lady was walking down the street, and she's on a cane. Now, she had to be in her late 80s, early 90s, right? And this is the kind of energy I would love to have when I get to that age. Okay, I'm going to have to work really hard for the skill. But this guy runs past her and grabs her purse off her shoulder, right? Now, she's got a cane. And he grabs the purse off her shoulder, but before it comes clear, she pops her shoulder and spins her wrist, wrapping the handle of the purse around her wrist so the guy couldn't go anywhere. World, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust your day's been going well. So she wraps the purse strap around her wrist. Guy can't go anywhere. And now she's turning around, going back and forth over her shoulder. And you're watching this guy's feet come off the ground, down onto the floor. then back up off the ground and onto the floor. And the whole while, this woman is screaming at him, "Don't you ever pick on a poor, defenseless old woman. You leave us alone. We've had a hard enough life. Now you just don't ever do that. You think about this." Every time she makes a sentence, it's over her shoulder and onto the ground. And I'm telling you, it was funnier than heck to watch. And in all fairness, he deserved it. You know, this is what I mean. I mean, yeah, it's negative news in a sense. Guy tried to rob her. Guy got beaten to a pulp. She was simply acting in self-defense. Now, I don't know about you, but I figure she did the right thing. Okay. I mean, well, we'll use the term he walked away. You know, we'll use the term a little loosely. Oh, fantastic. I do hope, world, that breakdown went well. Now, I'm not sure what that link is, but, you know, what the heck. Oh, perfect. That explains that. I will have to make a point of going and taking a look at that after the show. Because for some weird reason, looking at it right now might be a problem. But very happy for you there, world. You know, and what you've just seen, guys, when I turned and got people to run moderator here, the idea was real simple. Okay, let them do that sort of things. Where? Oh, wild. You know, I remember when we were looking at Bigfoot, the one encounter I had with Bigfoot changed my outlook on them forever, or more to the point, formulated it. You know, because when I was, and again, this boils down to communication. Now, we cannot all, you know, not everybody speaks the same language, in case you hadn't figured it out. Okay. But when I got lost in the woods at about 4 years old, okay, it was Bigfoot that found me and brought me back to my camp. Now, there was no way I was talking to him. I didn't know who he was. I mean, let's face it, he was a huge man, very hairy, interesting smell to him, but all people have a smell to them. But he turned around and working with me, we figured out how to get the communication lines open. And it was Bigfoot that guided me back to the campsite that I got lost from. And all I had to do, that I could do, was draw a picture of a rectangle. It's the only thing I knew about my car that I could tell him, and that it was black. For all the good that did, I didn't know anything about these guys. Finally, I said, "This is what I'm looking for." And he looks at me and he nods. Then he stands up and he picks me up, you know, sets me in the crook of his arm. And I'll tell you, that's a long way up. Have you ever been on the top of a double bunk? You know, of a bunk bed? Okay. This guy's arm was sitting, it was like sitting on the top bunk of a bunk bed. You know, and I'm looking at the ground, hanging on to his fur. And rest assured, their fur is soft. Okay, at least this guy's was. So he walks me back to the edge of my camp, sets me down, and then he puts his hand against my shoulders. Now understand, when he spread his hand, this finger was on my one shoulder, this was on the other shoulder. Okay, we're not talking a little chap here. And he encourages me to go out into the clearing. Right? As soon as Dad turned and saw me, this Bigfoot disappeared. This Sasquatch disappeared back into the woodwork. Right? Dad and I talked about it years later. But Dad had seen him, right? But he was a little more occupied with the fact that I was all of a sudden there. When we are looking at communication, it doesn't matter if you speak the same language. A smile goes a long way. Okay. I mean, I hear these things about Bigfoot being horrendous creatures, violent, angry creatures. I'll tell you, in my experience, it couldn't get further from the truth. But if you meet anybody, even if you don't understand their language, people on the whole understand smiles. Okay, they really do. Okay, it doesn't matter whether they speak English, whether they speak Swahili, doesn't matter. A smile is a smile is a smile. Yeah, absolutely. World, I do agree with you. Well, they are what I have discovered, and I'm pretty certain the world can back this up, at least I hope so. People more connected with nature, in this case Bigfoot, are empathic. They will sense intention. And in my case, let's face it, I'm 4 years old. I was not intending on hurting anybody. I was panic stricken because I was lost. That's all it boiled down to. And that's just it. Bigfoot isn't looking to invade. I just about fell off my chair the other day. I listened to somebody that said they were a Bigfoot. I forget who it was, so we can't go dropping names here. What I do know is it wasn't World, and it wasn't Bigfoot Michigan Rob. Okay, but I was listening to somebody, and they turned around and said, "You'll love this one. The Sasquatch and the Fae are getting together. They are corroborating with each other, or they are cooperating with each other, and they are getting ready to take Earth and take the surface world back." Okay, I appreciate that World. This person says Bigfoot is getting ready, along with the other Fae, the other protectors, to take the surface back from mankind. And I'm sitting there going, how can you claim to be a specialist or an expert, okay, in anything and come up with that kind of a conclusion? Okay, there's a lot of things going against it, but it's like when you go to any, and I've seen covens do this. Okay, I've seen churches do it. I've seen temples do it, where the leader, where the person leading the congregation will be fear-mongering and going, this is all the bad things that are going to happen. Okay, this is all going to happen unless you do exactly what I tell you I'm being told. Okay, if you don't, your world's going to end up upside down. I'm telling you, that ain't the way it works. I love the ones that go, I mean, I think it was Jimmy Swaggart, I think, that stood up in front of the camera and went, God has told me he's going, if I don't have $8 million in my bank account by Friday. Okay, now this was on a Sunday. If I don't have $8 million in my bank account by Friday, God is going to call me home. Please give. Now, I don't really mind somebody saying, hey, I'm broke, I need money. Even if they're a millionaire and they're claiming they're broke and they need money. Okay, what I do run into an interesting situation. Yeah, I'm going to throw a little wrench into that one in a hurry. I'll get back to that comment in just 10 seconds. What I do have a problem with is these people that say that it's not that the guy is asking. It's why, if you believe in anything, why would you believe that God cares how much money one individual has? God doesn't need money. Okay, money became an issue of its own. But something to look at with the AI. Okay, now here's the thing. Mankind is calling it AI. And I look at it, and I've really had a problem with it for a while. But I'm going, artificial intelligence. How about if we do something really weird? Instead of working on artificial intelligence, how about if we start re-educating people to use real intelligence, to use real common sense? Because what they're calling artificial intelligence boils down to a high-speed calculator with no emotional comprehension. Now, there is an added problem that you may not be aware of. Yeah, Nathan goes, I don't know. I don't like that method, but it is one way to manifest. Just comes with a good price to pay. The $8 million preacher guy. Yeah, no doubt. Okay. But here's the thing you guys may not be aware of. And I'm virtually certain that the people working on AI, if they realized the truth behind it, would stop cold. There is a race out there called the Zeron. They are literally robotic. Okay. They are mechanical. And they are literally, they are living, do not get me wrong. But all of their designs are patterned after living organisms. Okay. Not all from Earth. Well, they haven't even got to Earth yet. Okay. But they are literally patterned after living organisms. So they'll take a look at a bioorganism and they will emulate it. Now, mankind's been doing this for years. With the Zeron, not only do they build them that way, okay, but if you watch, if you take the movie, the Transformers, the series, okay, and you take the show, and you take the show, batteries not included. Now, add that to the Terminator mentality, and you've got what AI is drawing, what the Zeron are like. Okay, Zeron are coming in. Now, they can be stopped, but you've got to approach it from a logical fashion. Okay, their weak point is they don't have, much as they're a computer, they don't have a functional creative side. So what they do is they come across a new life form and they go, okay, let's build a mechanical version of that. Okay, utilizing mechanics and living metal in order to build that organism. That's where they get their ideas for evolution. Okay, and it's just one step after the next. Intriguingly enough, and I'm looking into this part of it, I think I know how they got started. Ironically, they didn't get started they didn't just naturally come into existence. Millennia back, and I've got to look into it a little more. But that's one of the research projects I'm working on. Somebody put something together, and then it eventually took on a life of its own. The outcome is the Zeron. If we take modern AI, okay, now it's phenomenal programming. It really is. Okay, but an electronic impulse in today's world cannot emulate emotion. Okay, it works on a very complicated logical subroutine. This is just one of those things. Now, I saw one issue, and again, the computer, you got to remember, the computer that we're working on, in my understanding, was designed based on the operation of the corporeal brain. Okay, now, it does work rather quickly, but you'll notice it glitches out more often than the human brain does. The electronic brain is not a functional competitor for operational intelligence. That's just what I've come to understand anyway. Okay, and now what we've got to look at If you're not happy with the store around you, talk to the manager, talk to the people on the floor and say, hey, look, the way you're doing this, I'm not happy with. Like I told the owner of that one restaurant I was talking about. When I had a conversation with her, I said, look, yes, I will support a store if it's treated right. But the reality is, if I feel the staff is being mistreated or is being treated ineffectively, I will not frequent the store. Because I'm quite willing to support a store that is being run well. Okay. And this is why I'm taking a look at it going, okay, I'm going to start, now that I've got an idea on how things are coming together, I'm starting to implement things in a very direct fashion. And I will link into my network that I'm building. I will link in with as many people as choose to come on board. Okay. And like I asked earlier, what do we got? Joe, how you doing? Joe, I wanted to tell you, I know you got this. Okay. I know you got the newsletter. In May's edition, okay, that message that you came up with, that I heard you say, it really was, well, the one I heard you say, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best. As I mentioned, in May's edition, the next one coming out, yes, I did put your name underneath it. Okay. And simply put the statement in, and then in little brackets, okay, I put credited to Joe Stewart. Okay, like I said, if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do the best I can. Happy Easter to you as well there, world. Oh, you're going to have to be going pretty quick, aren't you? You got a show in, what is it now? I gotta look at that. Yep. Okay, what we gotta look at, here we go. Copy that. And this, 8 o'clock. So this is the link to World. I did not get to this earlier. This is the link to World's live stream. So absolutely, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, absolutely give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, very important in my eyes as a way of saying, hey, we can turn this world around. Okay, it's just a question of whether we're willing to put the effort in. Have a great show there, world. Thanks again for sharing your time with us. Really is appreciated. The nice part about it, when we take a look at things, okay, is what we got. Oh, there you go. World's going, we're showing sneak peeks of the new as yet unreleased Bigfoot documentary. That's excellent. Quite honestly, oh, there you go. It's called Inevitably Finding Bigfoot. The neat part about it, from my standpoint, is real simple. Like, I look at what LA and Storm did years ago with Hazy Radio, what Dave Scott is doing now with Spaced Out Radio, and what World Bigfoot is doing with his show, as well as Nathan's show with the Quantum. These guys, in my opinion, are head and shoulders above my capability. This does not mean I'm going to stop. It just means I look at them and go, yes, they're better. They're better at it than I am. But the reality is, Joe, it is open topic. If you've got a question, absolutely ask. we had to do a little bit of a revamp with the computers. We're running on Steam now. Okay. Because Frank is taking over running the stream. Okay, so we're running on StreamYard. But what I've decided to do, it's still anytime, any day of the week. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that encouragement there, world. Joe, whatever topic we're dealing with, what I did was I revamped things. I'm now closed Wednesday and Thursday. I just don't come on air at all for those 2 days. The other 5, we're working on a very simple pattern. But without exception, every one of the days, if you've got a question that comes up, if you've got a topic that you'd like to broach, absolutely drop me a line, let me know. Okay, or drop in or pop in, ask the question in the chat room. Okay. The important factor of it from our standpoint is this. And yes, I'm going to, as a matter of fact, should bring that to our attention. This one is directly to you and to you, Storm and LA. I noticed the title that we've got. Should have said something a few days ago, or however long we've been doing this. That should be the title there. Should be positive perceptions. Positive perspectives is the newsletter. Okay. That's the newsletter. Okay. Positive perceptions was a simple way, and LA actually came up with it, to link them together and still stay on the same frame. I appreciate that, Storm. Thanks so much. It's going to be a lot of work to turn things around. The world did not end up in its current state in a matter of moments. Okay. And we got to remember, if we continue doing things the way they were done, we're going to have the same outcome that we had. But Joe, like today we're looking at literally communication amongst the peoples of this world. Tomorrow, and again, whatever the topic whatever question you've got, absolutely ask. Because I'll tell you, you may have a question that you're going, oh, that's too obvious a question. There are literally thousands of people out there with the same question. Okay. I know this for an absolute certainty because working as a professional psychic, you would be amazed how many people actually ask literally the same question. Okay, on how to do something or on how a situation is going to turn out. So absolutely pop the question. That came out wrong. I'm already spoken for, so let's not pop the question. Okay, but we're looking at communication. Tomorrow, this week, we're looking at communication around the world. In other words, how do we take the communication lines and improve them between common people and the so-called leaders, the so-called elites? Like I said yesterday, I finally pieced it together. Humans and lemmings have a staggering amount in common. Okay. And, there are a lot of humans I can actually look at the lemmings going, you guys might think better. Yes, I know that was rude. But I came to the conclusion a lot of people just don't pay attention. I was out today. I had to go out and drop my son off. For that matter, I had to go back and pick him up. I nearly ran over somebody that literally had taken their cell phone. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. Okay. They've got their cell phone. They're staring at the cell phone. No, that's before. Okay. They're literally staring at the cell phone. They walked off the sidewalk in front of my car. Now, I didn't hit them. Trust me, it was tempting. But this is the kind of behavior that we've got to look at and go, is technology actually helping? Now, the reality is technology has improved communication speed when it works. But there used to be a power company in town here. Okay. And on the back wall above their front desk, they had a really neat sign. To err is human, but to really foul things up requires a computer. Now, I'm a firm believer that's all too true. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, LA. It's really tempting. It's very tempting. Don't ever do this. No, I'm just not going to say that. See, even that broken thing of mine where the mouth goes into gear and goes, oops, you really shouldn't have said that. It's starting to work a little faster. Don't know if that's a good thing or not. But LA's just going, if we see cell phone, we start slowing down. We figure they won't see us. Not don't, won't. In other words, they are so caught up in the amount of stuff being piped into them through this. Okay, and let's get an earplug so we can't hear anything except what's on the music, or the news, or the politics that are going, oh, this is what we're going to do to shaft everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the way they put it. I kid you not, I've got a buddy that his cell phone is still a Nokia flip phone. Okay, the old phones that if you drop them, you can drop them off the top of a building, within reason, and they keep working. It's like the old televisions. Okay, you ever tripped and did a fan and hit your head on the old televisions I grew up with? I'm telling you, you got a concussion. The TV was still fine. Okay, the old vehicles that were built in a less advanced fashion, if you will. Oh, my misunderstanding there, LA. LA's just going, we were talking about cell phones at one point, and then she goes, mine quit working years ago. It's truly an addiction. And then she goes, no, I meant my ability to say the wrong thing. Mine works quite well, but I am doing my best. And let's be clear, I'm doing my best while on air here. Okay. But I am looking at other ways to expand things. I've already got the articles laid out for Maze. I'll be writing a lot of that tonight. But I'm looking at other things that also require being done. There is so much information that's sitting up here. And I look at it this way. I drop dead, all that information is gone. Okay. It's kind of like the Library of Alexandria. When it passed or when it was burned to the ground, all of that information was gone. Okay. And I can tell you all sorts of horrendous things I'm hearing going around the world. But here's the kicker. I can also tell you that I have been seeing things that were absolutely priceless. Okay. What I like watching is people doing things to be nice to each other. This is the kind of thing that absolutely, if you spot something like that, do me a favor and just drop me a little blurb. I don't pay for it, absolutely not. But then I don't charge for it either. Okay. What I do here on Positive Perceptions and what I do on Positive Perspectives, that will remain free. Okay. It's kind of like if you meet me for coffee. I don't charge people that are meeting me for coffee. Okay, quite often I end up paying for it. But when we take a look at this world, the more we communicate with each other, the better off we're going to be. Okay, and the more likely we're going to have, and somebody put yesterday, I forget who it was, but somebody put it yesterday that we have an opportunity to re-enter a golden age. We absolutely do. Now, it can either be golden as in a golden sunset, or it can be golden as in the burning embers of hellfire. Your call. Okay. I'm not here. I'm not able to change your world. All I'm here to do is turn the lights on. Okay. Now, I've done this a number of times in the past, and sadly, it hasn't stuck. Okay. Now, the current path, because technology has progressed to the level it has a very high potential of literally knocking us all the way back to the Stone Age. Because all the information on how to smelt ore, on how to mine manually, okay, all of that information is now primarily on digital. Okay, because most of the people that could do it by hand are now deceased. Okay, and if the computers collapse, if we end up with a nasty solar flare and it wipes out the computers, we are in serious trouble. Okay, because all this stuff you see, yes, it'll last for a time, but it will not be repairable. And that's because people are not passing on the information. Now, I'm teaching myself because, well, frankly, I didn't take the time to learn for a lot of reasons, and they're all basically excuses at this point. But I'm now taking the time to teach myself how to cook. This will end up saving me a staggering amount of money in the long run. This is also why I'm turning to paying more attention to my health. And again, I'm looking at new additions to the newsletter. But something I'd like to point out, if you look in the newsletter, okay, if you look in the newsletter, especially now that we've got it redesigned in a sense, okay, take a look at the first letter of each of the sections shown in red, and take a look at that word. It was designed that way quite intentionally. Okay. Now, for those of you that are not receiving the newsletter yet, okay, the sections that are there are paranormal, okay, entertainment, alien, career, and economics. Which, by the way, if you take a look at the first letter of those sections, okay, that word, and some of you will get this right off the bat, but you take those four titles and look at the first letter of each of them, and what word pops up? Now, this was done quite intentionally. Okay. The thing I'm looking at is this. We have a very important job here. Those of you that have already gotten your feet, mentally speaking, on the ground, that are already looking in the direction of the future, take a look at what we can co-create. Okay. Take a look at that and start working with the people around you. Very important, because it's by working together that we can turn things around. Now, where am I here? Because I'm looking at this and I'm actually amazed my coffee is still sitting there. time is that. So as soon as I get done this, I do have to, I've got all that checked off. But I do have to look at my email, both personal and invoice, as well as YouTube and LinkedIn. These are the things I've got to do after I get done stream here. You know, what I'm looking at is this. You know, I got thinking about it and really hit me kind of funny the other day. You know, what dawned on me, I've always held, I don't desire to be on a pedestal. I don't desire to be taking on this kind of responsibility again. And I'm sitting there going, but if not me, because I spotted the problem. So if I don't do it, then who? If not now, when? Okay. The where is easy part, right wherever you are. But the fact of the matter is, our responsibility is absolutely take care of yourself first. But the goal of this world, did I actually leave that open this whole time? I did. The goal of this whole world is to leave this world in better shape than what it was in when you got here. Now, I admit wholeheartedly, the first 55 years of my life, actually the first 5 years I didn't, but after I was murdered at age 5, I really did hide from the rest of the world. I'm not sure why I was all of a sudden disheartened. You know, some genius decided poisoning me was a great way to take me out of the equation. Didn't quite work out that way. You know, but from 5 to 60, I hid from the world and subsequently from life. Now, we have a choice. I had a choice. You know, like I said, I had no interest in being on a pedestal. Okay, no interest in doing that at all. That's not where I was running my life from. But here we are. Yeah, LA goes, trauma responses work like this sometimes. Absolutely. I used to be like a fish in the water. You know, I'm into the water any chance I got. I will tell you, drowning screws up your interest in getting into the water. Now, I'm not afraid of the water, but I've got no interest in getting into it. You know, the thing that I look at, I am doing my best to link everything. This is why positive perspectives and positive perceptions are so tightly linked. Okay. And I don't know if you've noticed, but in the digital version, because it doesn't work the same way in the hard copy, but I am now providing hot links in the digital version as well. Okay. I figure I'm trying to get into the 21st century. Slowly but surely I'm managing it. You know, but it really boils down to an issue of what you desire. You know, yes, you're one little individual. You know, here's the thing. My dad told me because Dad used to work on the railway, not as an engineer. He used to repair them way back. And what he said was a tiny grain of sand is all it would take, placed properly, to stop an entire locomotive from moving. Now, with that in mind, yes, you're just a tiny cog in a huge amalgamation of things. But that one tiny cog is just as important as the biggest one, sometimes more important. Besides that, the little people see more than what the big people do. This is why, you know, at a different point, vantage point, I should say. This is why when you're putting stuff down, when you're running a secondhand store, a department store, anything that caters to kids, if it caters to kids and adults, the stuff for the kids you put on the bottom shelf, down where they can see it. You put the stuff for the adults at the mid shelf. That's where they can see it. The top shelf is the stuff that's put up there, usually as storage, where you can see it if you look for it, but it requires a little effort to get to it. Now, I am looking at a couple of other things, or a few things I did, a while back when I was running Positive Perspectives before. Okay, I actually took the time to build a crossword. Okay, to build a search and find, rather. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, LA goes, the top shelves for Storm to sort out. To start and sort through. Absolutely. Now, from my standpoint, all levels of the shelving are usable. All have importance. But it boils down to organization. And the thing with organizing, when you're looking at a store, when you're looking at your house, organizing boils down to communication. If you put things in a rational fashion, people are more likely to keep them organized than if you put them in a haphazard fashion. Okay, this is just the reality behind it. Now, let me ask you this, because I'm seriously looking. I've already got I think I've got all of. What if I do? Pop that up. And let us see. Economics is set. Career, alien, entertainment, and the paranormal. Okay. So I've already got the mainstream stuff already identified. Now it's just a case of plugging it in. But, and you guys have already said, we'd like color pictures. Okay. Darian. Okay. What else is missing? Okay. Because I'm going to be going into many of the tools as extra articles and what have you. But I'm looking at putting a searching word in. It will not be mainstream searching word because I literally build them myself. Okay. Just as something to do now. I know somebody mentioned comics would be nice. The hard part there is, number one, I'm not a cartoonist. Number two, I don't play jokes. I don't do the joke thing very well, in case you hadn't noticed. But I am looking at making this magazine a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more enlightening. That is absolutely the backbone. Okay, but I do feel it important to have other stuff in there as well. Okay, I know with many of the big magazines, cartoons was why people got the weekend edition, was to read the cartoons. Okay, but like I said, I'm not exactly what we would call a cartoonist, and I certainly don't like a lot of what they call funny nowadays. Okay, anything that makes people feel less is not what I personally find enjoyable. Okay. Also don't like the feeling of getting vertigo, but I know that's because I was planning on eating right before I came on stream. Well, actually about an hour before, and then got caught up with other things I had to deal with. Okay, but I am looking into the idea of, when I talk about alternative health, I don't mean as in walking away from modern medicine. I mean working in tandem with it, working in conjunction with modern medicine, but taking a look at the old methods and going, take a look at this. if modern medicine is not doing everything you like, there are other ways. Okay. Now, what I haven't figured out, okay, and I don't know how I'm going to find out, but what I haven't figured out, oh, there we go. LA Goes Pet Stories. That can be done easily enough. Let me do this. Because Lord knows, everybody I talk to, virtually everybody has some sort of pet story they were personally involved in, or that they were witness, or that they know somebody was witness to. The other thing that I did months ago, like quite frankly, the last time I got started, was I had a list of stupid questions. Okay, and I call them stupid because you really got to wonder. For instance, there was a aquatics instructor I knew. Okay, now she was teaching people to be aquatics instructors. That is what she taught. Now, for those of you that, for whatever reason, haven't figured out, aquatic instructor is somebody that teaches, swimming pool yoga, teaches swimming in general, teaches swimming safety. One of her students, right before the final exam, comes up to her and looks at her and goes, "Excuse me, teacher, but for the final exam, do we have to get into the water?" Now I'm sitting there looking at it going, how could you possibly formulate that thought? Okay, but every industry has stupid questions. Now I call them stupid because it's hard to believe that they're that slow. Like, I bought a toaster, and this is the other thing that goes with that. Okay. I bought a toaster. Now understand, this was a toaster. We all know what those are. At least I hope so. The biggest warning on this toaster was, and again, remember, this is an appliance. The biggest warning, do not use this appliance in the bathtub. Now, I took one look at this going, some idiot did this. And I was looking for, because here's a warning, now I can't turn around and have a perm and have soggy toast at the same time. And I would love if you guys have heard a stupid question. Okay, I'm not going to put whole scenarios in, just the little blurbs. Here's the here's the industry, here's the question. Or like I was sent a blurb, an actual transcript. No, sorry, not a transcript. A list. Yeah, that's going back a ways there, Storm. Storm's just going, a mixture in the bathtub was the modus operandi in the Columbo episode. There was one sheet that I saw that was actual responses from maintenance in an airline. And what it said was, who says airline mechanics don't have a sense of humor? Right. The complaint that came into the mechanic shop. Right engine missing. Now this was a 2-prop engine. Okay. Right engine missing. So the mechanic writes back on his actual report. A missing engine found attached to right wing. Okay, another one from the same transcript turns around and says, complaint, dead flies on window. Okay, and the mechanic writes back, dead flies removed, live flies reinstalled. But it's things like this when I talk about about different comebacks, different stories. Now, not much in the way of a joke, right? But they are comical to read or to experience. This is just one of those things that I'm thinking we'll add a little bit of a lighthearted side to the newsletter as we go along. Okay. The important factor is still, much like this stream, how do we turn this world around? How do we finally find common ground? Now, I can pretty much guarantee every one of you, if you're really happy, you'll either smile. I don't care what walk of life you come from. You'll either smile or you'll laugh or you'll giggle. Okay. If you're unhappy, you may frown, you may cry, you may get angry, but you all behave the same way, no matter what part of the world you're in, no matter what skin color you've got. Okay. So I'm thinking we'll go that route. I'm looking at ways of adding puzzles and what have you of a cerebral context to add that aspect as well. Now, we obviously cannot cover everything, so I'm writing off 80% of what's being reported. Okay, I'm not dealing with sports more than, hey, the team that gets the most points wins. Oh, by the way, the one person that gets across the finish line first, that's the guy that got the gold. Not, oh, hey guys, let's try a new one. Like we give out the gold, the silver, and the bronze here. Absolutely. I took that idea straight out of Dave's live stream. Okay. Speaking of which, where are we? Right there. Dave. This is the link to Dave's live stream. Because, well, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. The thing that brought it to my attention is next Friday, I will be back on Spaced Out Radio with the ET Connection. Okay. From 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. Now, what I'm looking at doing is seeing how we can improve things, how we can make people look forward. People used to look forward to the newspaper. Granted, the Saturday newspaper, people used to look forward to it because of the funnies. Okay. Now, I'm the only one writing right now. So I'm only doing one a month. Okay. As things get bigger, as I have more people working with me, absolutely we may well increase frequency, but for the moment, that's not in the plans per se. Now, and I will take that as a viable hint. LA, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I love the way you do that because I keep losing track of the time. That said, thank you so very much for sharing your time with me today. We're hitting the 2-hour mark. I will be back again tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to take a look at the off-world, the ancient races, how communication works with them, and how it correlates with ours. But until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.